Watch and burn.
Hey everyone, so tonight I want to discuss, trying to think of the best way to frame this title. This is sort of Deicide's comeback record, because this is, of course that record in question is 2004's Scars of the Crucifix. This would be their first record for their new home, that would be Earache Records, and what a rebirth. Because this would be the first time that Benton would employ the dual vocals, the high and the low, which he hasn't done since, I believe, since prior to Incinerate Him and In Torment in Hell, because he had chosen to abandon the dual vocal tracking, which I get, because In Torment in Hell and Incinerate Him, despite both of those records having their moments, those records were just sort of contract fulfillers for the guys in the band. They were sick of Roadrunner, they weren't receiving the support they felt that they deserved, and they still had to knock out a couple albums for Roadrunner. So they told their fan base at the time that Incinerate Him and then In Torment in Hell, that their fan base could avoid those records because these records would be very paint by numbers. And whereas I did find that Incinerate Him especially had a couple standout tracks, I did kind of feel like In Torment in Hell, even the artwork, everything, the whole record just kind of felt like an afterthought. So I was beginning to wonder if things were ending for Deicide, but that wasn't the case. They were just burnt because of the record label, and Scars of the Crucifix would pretty much put them right back on top. 2004, the cover artwork was done by Paul Booth, I think. It's got Jesus ripping off his two middle fingers so that he's doing this, and he's like tearing them off with his fucking teeth. I saw Jesus do that once, so I know he's capable, and it's such a badass cover. And the record, this is Benton reintroducing the double vocals. And then this would also be the last record that the Hoffman brothers would play guitar on. They would leave after this, kind of tired of everything, I suppose. Apparently they were Christians or something too. I don't know how true that is, but I did hear that about the guitarists in the band Deicide, that they were Christians. I don't know if that's true. Well, anyways, the Hoffman brothers would depart after this album, if memory serves. And I have to say this record is a serious return to form. My favorite tracks off here are Scars of the Crucifix, Fuck Your God, and what's that? Go Now Your God is Dead, right? Is that, no, wait. Yeah, Go Now Your Lord is Dead. Go Now Your Lord is Dead. Those three songs are my absolute favorites. But this whole record, man, Deicide's like lust for satanic chaos is back. This record feels so completely evil, even though by this point, you know, the band's sort of like satanic promises had long since expired. This record did feel like a complete and total return to form. This record felt evil. It felt like ugly. It was raw, and it was, man, the drumming at times would just fucking pound in and sort of have more of like an industrial vibe. As an somewhat interesting side note, too, is that the American government would end up using the track Fuck Your God to torture detainees in Iraq during the Second Gulf War back in the early to mid-2000s. So, not exactly sure how I feel about that, because it's one thing if the people that the US military were using this song on were guaranteed bad guys, then yeah, fuck them. But things aren't quite so black and white. So I think the American government using American music to torture people is just a bad idea, no matter how you slice it. Whether the guy's some Ed Kemper, Ted Bundy piece of shit that no one gives a fuck about, I really don't think you should be blasting in Fuck Your God by Deicide at him, because the guys in the band didn't sign off on it. I know this happened to Skinny Puppy too, and they ended up like taking the US government to task on that, and they got really upset that their music was being used to torture detainees. I think Skinny Puppy's music was being used to torture detainees at Guantanamo Bay. I think, at least. This is all from memory, so if I get something wrong, I get something wrong. But yeah, so Fuck Your God was used to torture detainees in Iraq. That'll excite some people, that will anger others. It doesn't do either to me. I just kind of feel like somewhat indifferent because I have no real say anyways. Overall, I do disagree with the practice, but Yeah, so look, I'm gonna go. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for 5 minutes while I discuss Deicide's absolutely fucking perfect sounding comeback record from 2004, and that is Scars of the Crucifix. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But most importantly, don't forget that the world is a much better place because you are in it. And I hope you guys have a great night. Hail Satan, or Hail Jesus, or whatever fucking religious nonsense you subscribe to. Hail it. Have a good night. Now fuck that. Hail Satan. Hail Satan. Good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe. And we will see you guys really soon.